Well, across the country, serological surveys are being conducted in many cities. We already have the results of Delhi, Mumbai and Pune. In Delhi, it was found that 23% of people are exposed to the virus, which technically means 1 in every 4 person were exposed to coronavirus. Similarly, in Mumbai, about 56 to 57% were found to be exposed to the virus in the slum areas and about 16% in the non-slum areas. The Pune results have just come out and it indicates a staggering 51.5% people exposed to the virus in the city of Pune, which means half the population has been exposed to the virus if you go by this data. So, what is the accuracy of a serological survey? Does it give us an accurate representation of the spread and prevalence of coronavirus in a city? What are the two sides? Well, on one hand, yes, it is the most accurate representation that you can get, because after all, this is based on an antibody test. So, when the presence of antibody in the human body is determined, that means that this particular human body has fought that particular infection. So, therefore, by that logic, it's clearly very accurate, because a sample size is collected from across the population, and then an antibody test is done on this sample. So, whatever figure it throws out is a fair representation of to what extent antibodies are present in the population and to what extent there is a prevalence of coronavirus. And yes, it is an accurate representation also because the sample size is supposed to be highly representational. They cover all the different strata of population, whether it's high income group or low income group, slum dweller or high net worth individuals, densely populated area and the sparsely populated ones. All of these areas are covered in this sample size, and therefore, it is supposed to give you an accurate picture of the propensity of the virus in that city. Thirdly, it's an extremely important data for the government to determine their COVID strategy, their containment strategy and policy in general, because then it gives you a macro picture of the penetration and the prevalence of the virus in your city. But what is the other side? Are there any pitfalls in this? We have to be careful when we look at these figures, because when you extrapolate it to the actual numbers, now if you look at Pune for instance, the Sero survey says 51% population exposed to the virus. Pune has a population of say around 60 lakh, which would mean 30 lakh people are exposed to the virus. But in terms of the real figures done through testing, the numbers stand somewhere at around 1,60,000. So, there is a huge disparity of numbers. And how do you reconcile that? Either you have to believe that your testing is abysmally poor, or you have to say that people have some sort of a resilience that they have developed for the virus. Secondly, again the sample size per se is always very small in in a given context. In Pune again 1600 people were tested for a population of 60 lakh. Similarly, in Mumbai the population is 20 million. The sample size is way too small to be representational of this diverse population. So, irrespective of how convincing the authorities might sound in saying that no, but we have collected samples from every single category that you can think of, there is still a margin of human error. Because like I said, if you go with the Sero survey data and say take about 30% infected in Mumbai, that would mean close to 7 million people exposed to the virus in Mumbai. The actual figures in hospitals etc. do not reflect that kind of prevalence of the infection, because even if a very small percentage of that were to require medical treatment, our hospitals should have got overburdened by now, but that has not happened in Mumbai. So, there are certain issues of taking the data with the face value. Of course, it's an important data, it's an important survey to do with a population like ours, where it's literally not possible to have tests conducted on each and every person. So, the best you can do is get an overview of this nature, and that should help. But like I said, one has to exercise caution in taking these figures to mean something for the whole population. It should just be a cornerstone for policy, for containment strategy, which again is extremely necessary. Thanks for watching Two Sides with Afrida.